Berlin is the third solo studio album by American musician Lou Reed, released in July 1973 by RCA Records. A concept album, Berlin tells the story of a couple's struggle with drug addiction and abuse. Initially, critical reception was mixed, but appraisals of the album have warmed over the years. In 1973, Rolling Stone declared the album a disaster, but in 2003, the album was ranked No. 344 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Concept. The concept was created when producer Bob Ezrin mentioned to Lou Reed that, although the stories told by Reed's songs had great beginnings, they never really had an ending. Specifically, Ezrin wanted to know what happened to the couple from Berlin, a song from Reed's first solo album. The album is a tragic rock opera about a doomed couple, Jim and Caroline, and addresses themes of drug use, prostitution, depression, domestic violence, and suicide. The Kids tells of Caroline having her children taken from her by the authorities and features the sounds of children crying for their mother. The Scottish folk rock band The Waterboys takes its name from a line in this song. Musical themes. Instrumentally, Reed plays acoustic guitar. As with Reed's previous two studio albums, Berlin redrafts several songs that had been written and recorded previously. The title track first appeared on Reed's solo debut album, only here it is simplified, the key changed and rearranged for solo piano. Oh, Jim makes use of the Velvet Underground outtake, Oh, Jim. Caroline says Roman 2 is a rewrite of Stephanie Says From View, though the latter was not released until 1985. The Velvet Underground had also recorded an alternate demo of Sad Song, which had much milder lyrics in its original form. Men of Good Fortune had also been played by the Velvets as early as 1966. An archival CD featuring live performances of the band playing at Andy Warhol's factory provides the evidence of the song's age. The CD featuring the early performance of Men of Good Fortune is not for sale and can only be heard at the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lost track. On the initial 8-track tape release of Berlin, there was an untitled 1-minute instrumental piano solo performed by Alan Macmillan featured between the songs Berlin and Lady Day, which also appeared in initial cassette releases of the album. It has otherwise never been featured on any vinyl or CD editions, or any subsequent reissue therein. There has never been any official explanation for why it appeared on 8-track and nowhere else, but it was likely placed there in order to fill time and allow for uninterrupted song sequencing between the 4 programs. In 2006, when Reed performed the entire album at St. Anne's Warehouse in New York, this solo was reinstated, but this time was performed before Caroline Says Roman 2, suggesting this is where the piece was supposed to actually appear in the track sequence. Critical reception. Stephen Davis, in a December 1973 review for Rolling Stone, felt the album was a disaster. He disliked the world of paranoia, schizophrenia, degradation, pill-induced violence, and suicide that the album introduced to the listener, and disliked Reed's spoken and shouted performance. Robert Christgau, in a February 1974 review for Cream, felt that the story about 2 drug addicts who fall into sadism in thrillingly decadent Berlin was lousy and the music was only competent. Berlin reached No. 7 on the UK album chart, Reed's best achievement there until 1992's Magic and Loss. The BPI awarded the record a silver certification. Poor sales in the US, No. 98, and harsh criticism made Reed feel disillusioned about the album. However, he often featured Berlin material in his live shows, and concert renditions of most of the album's songs including Berlin, Lady Day, Caroline Says I, How Do You Think It Feels, Oh, Jim, The Kids, The Bad, and Sad Song can be found on various live albums preceding his 2006 staging of the entire album in concert. Legacy. In 2003, Rolling Stone included it in their list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, and in 2008 a filmed live performance was well received. When asked if he felt vindicated, Reed said, "For what? I always liked Berlin." The album was also included in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Live performance. Reed and producer Bob Ezrin planned a stage adaptation of the album upon its initial release, but shelved the plans due to mixed reviews and poor sales. In 2007, Reed fulfilled his original hopes by touring the album with a 30-piece band and 12 choristers. Director Julian Schnabel filmed the concert and released it in 2008 as Berlin, live at St. Anne's Warehouse, which opened to strong reviews. The album was digitally remastered and re-released on compact disc to commemorate the event. Covers. Caroline Says Roman 2 has been covered by several artists. The Soft Boys, Human Drama, Mercury Rev, and Anthony and the Johnsons. Susie Sue did a cover version of that song with Suede in 1993. Mark Almond also covered it with his band Mark and the Mem was on the 1982 album entitled. The Mexican and Spanish singer Alaska's name was inspired by the song Caroline Says Roman 2. Track listing. All tracks written by Lou Reed. Personnel. Credits are adapted from the Berlin liner notes. Lou Reed, vocals, acoustic guitar. Bob Ezrin, piano, mellotron, arrangement. Steve Hunter, electric guitar. Dick Wagner, electric guitar, backing vocals. Jack Bruce, bass guitar, except Lady Day and the Kids. Ainsley Dunbar, drums, except Lady Day and the Kids. Steve Winwood, organ, harmonium. Michael Brecker, tenor saxophone. Randy Brecker, trumpet. Tony Levin, bass guitar on the Kids. B.J. Wilson, drums on Lady Day and the Kids. Alan Macmillan, piano on Berlin. Gene Martinuk, acoustic guitar, synthesizer and vocal arrangement on The Bed, bass guitar on Lady Day. John Pearson, bass trombone. Lou Weaver, piano on Men of Good Fortune. Steve Hayden, Elizabeth Marsh, Dick Wagner, Lou Reed, choir. Production. Bob Ezrin, producer. Jim Reeves, engineer. Alan Macmillan, arrangement. Certifications. UK, silver.